In this video, I want to look at an example of a VUE program that is using V4 and looping over an array. I did a previous example where we just sort of had counters, but now we're looping over an array. And then I also want to introduce have some kind of combination of V4 and VIF. And so to achieve that and do it mostly on the HTML side, I'm going to bring in this idea of view of the template. Okay, so if you want this example, the URL for it is found here, and it generates this page. Then there's no further user interaction once the page is made, but this is sort of generated mostly dynamically using VUE V4s and VIFs. Okay, and it's based on a sort of an artwork by Jasper Johns. Okay. So here's my link to the VUE CDN version 3, my title. I have some link to some style. One of the main things in the style is I'm bringing in a font, a stencil font. I have some styling of the TDs and some basic styling of the body, like a text shadow. So you can sort of see a shadowy effect here. Okay, so that's the style. Not much to the style. There's not much to the JS. I establish an array of letters, and then that's that. I apply my code to an element on the page with an ID of Jasper. But here's my alphabet, space, and then the letters A to Z, and I'm splitting them on no delimiter, so that's making an array of characters. So this is, along with the space, 27 elements, but I'm just going to work with the array, whatever size it is. So I'm not going to specify 27 anywhere. Okay, so that's the data. So there's not much going on the JS side of this. It's the sort of V code embedded in the HTML. So let's take a look at that. So I have a table, and its ID is Jasper, so the view gets applied here. And then that means then I understand things like V4, VIF, template. These are sort of view constructs, and they will be understood because I apply view here. And then letters, that was the name of after splitting my array of characters. So my rows, I am using V4. I'm looping over the letters. And I can specify, then I have sort of like a pair of arguments, I'll say, that for a given iteration over this loop, item 1 is the element of the array. So that is the actual letter. And I'm not actually using, I'm going to use item 2 in the inner loop, but I just sort of follow the same style here. And then I have the second argument is index 1. So that will go counting through the array. So I have my element of my array and my index of my array and letters is the array. Then I want, if you take a look at this, the first row, we're going sort of straight through the alphabet in our cells. And so we're putting these in little TDs to sort of get this alignment. But the subsequent rows sort of start at some letter and then start again. So I'm going to have sort of two loops, a loop where I'm finishing off the alphabet from wherever I am, and then a second one where I'm starting the alphabet from wherever I am. And so that is the idea. So I have in here two loops with some condition. And to be able to combine the V4 along with the V if to have a loop, but also have a condition, then I brought in the idea of template. So I wanted a repeated TDs, but then I also wanted some condition on when do I repeat the TDs. And so I'm looping over. So the template is just a straightforward loop over the array, just like the rows were, except it's item 2 and an index 2, but the same array letters. But now here comes the sort of the if part comes inside the template. So in order to have, I want to repeat TDs, so that sounds like it should be the V4, but I also want to display or not display the TDs, and I wasn't finding a way to combine the V4 and the VF in sort of one element. So I had this sort of shell around it called the template and put the V4 in the template and then the VIF in this. So I'm looping over all of the elements of the array, but I'm only displaying them under a certain condition. And that's a condition between my indices, index 2 and index 1. So if the second index is greater than the first index, then I show the item. And so that's why we are missing, as we go on, more and more of the alphabet at the beginning. So that is that first loop. Here is the second loop. And again, we're looping over the array. I'm using the same, it's a different scope, so I'm using the same name, item 2 and index 2. Could have made it 3, wouldn't matter. And now my condition is sort of the reverse condition. If index 2 is less than index 1, and that's what's getting me sort of restarting the alphabet. So this condition sort of skipped the beginning of the alphabet, and this one picks up the beginning of the alphabet, and it is the second loop. So it's the sort of beginning of the alphabet. Wrong browser. So the second loop gives us this beginning of the alphabet, and the first loop gave us, of the first inner loop, gave us the end of the alphabet. The second inner loop gave us the beginning of the alphabet, and then the other loop, the outer loop, was over the rows, giving us multiple rows. So that's what I wanted to show you, this idea of one, using a V4 to loop over an array, the idea of a template to sort of give you, if I want to do multiple codings, V4 and VIF, then there was this notion of the template to give us a structure to sort of split those two pieces apart. And that's it. That's what I wanted to show you. Thanks for your attention.